And welcome to episode number 181 of the Jeet Kune Dialogues with my good friend and my erstwhile Savat instructor, Salem Assli, um, who does not need much of an introduction, I would say, in the Jeet Kune world. All right. But I've known Salem since I think about 1985 or so. We're gonna go back. We're gonna use a time machine and go back and talk about a whole bunch of stuff and then make our way forward. So, welcome to the Jeet Kune Dialogue, sir. How you doing?
I'm very good, Dwight. Good to see you. Thank you.
So
Thank
you
you for having me.
you should we tell people why you're at home and
Well,
what's
I'm home, yes, instead of the hospital, maybe. Yeah. So everybody knows pretty much that I had a terrible motorcycle accident. It doesn't look like it, but right now I'm incapacitated. My right leg is totally useless. I mean, not useless. I mean, I cannot put no weight on it.
Mhm.
It has been crushed. I had 3 operations so far, so they were able to save it, which was a good thing. Um, so I was staying at I stayed 6 days in ICU, 1 month at the UCLA hospital, and 2 months in a rehab place.
Mhm.
Not totally a rehab because I didn't sleep much while I was there. So I went to see the doctors about 10 days ago, and we were supposed to set up a date for my next operation, which is a bone graft. So actually, basically, my tibia and my fibula are separated like this. So it's not attached.
Yeah.
So they put a rod, titanium rod in my leg. They put some cement, biological cement, and so I was waiting for the bone graft. So they're gonna put some bones in between, to seal it both together. But they say that the flap that they did, flap means that they took a big chunk of, they took a stick, basically out of my left leg, and they put it on the top of my shin,
Yeah.
my right leg,
Right.
and they took a big bone graft. I mean, a bone graft. What I'm saying, a big graft from my right thigh, and they put under to the calf, because basically my leg was crushed. I was riding it's more like not a speed motorcycle, but a cruiser, like a chopper,
Mhm.
and my leg was crushed against my engine, and there was actually some flesh I heard that was still stick on the engine.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that. Yeah.
So, so they put some skin under and seal it together. Now, what they have to do is they have to wait for that to be more soft, so they can basically reopen it and put the bone graft. Now, they told me that it will take another 2 to 3 months before they could actually do that operation. So I told the surgeons, I said, there is no way I'm going to go back to the rehab place. I said, I got to go home. He said, well, if you want to keep your sanity, it's a good thing to do. 2 days later, I was back home
Right.
with my crutches and my wheelchair, and so I'm going from the crutches to the wheelchair, from the wheelchair to my desk, and the good thing is I don't have any pain.
Yeah.
But sometimes, once in a while, I do something silly. I forgot I don't put the boots because they have a special boot that I have to keep my foot
Right.
and my leg like this, But sometimes I take it out because I want my foot to be loose just a little,
Mhm.
and I put my foot on the ground. Oh,
Yeah.
I cannot do that yet,
Yeah.
So stuff like that,
Yeah.
basically. So, but I managed, today go out sometimes. As a matter of fact, I just came back from a lunch. I had a lunch with Grodan. So him and my wife and I, we went to have lunch, and I was able to, with my crutches, jump into his car, which is a little bit higher than my truck, even. So it was a bit of a challenge, but once I'm outside with the crutches, I can
Yeah.
walk a little.
Let me ask you this: has your recovery been faster than the doctors are used to?
Yes, because I was messed up. I can show you. You will be. I was really really hurt. In fact, I was unconscious for big part of it at the very beginning. I was totally unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
and the this is terrible. It's a terrible picture. Okay, so that will be very quick. But this, I look more like a panda than anything else.
Yeah. Wow.
So I had a concussion on the forehead right here.
Yeah.
I had a broken tooth that was inside of my lung. I don't know how it get there, but they were worried about that. I broke a teeth, so I'm gonna have to have an operation to fix my teeth to here.
Wow.
So it went into my lung. My tongue was cut off, almost in half. My nose was broken. I had 10 broken ribs, 9 on the right side, 1 on the left side. My hands were all really messed up. You can still see some of the scar left.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this all over my hand. My hands were totally black inside from the blood, and I couldn't breathe. That was the hardest part. My kidney was so damaged at first that I was bleeding, and they thought they're gonna have to remove it. My right kidney. They waited. After 4 days, it was clear. He cleared that after 4 days. Everything healed itself within 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
Right.
I was already putting the trapeze,
Yeah.
so they could help me to clean stuff. So that was tough, but in 2-3 weeks it heals, except of course my leg, because it's not going to go by itself. In a few weeks, it's going to take
Mm-hmm.
a year or two before I can
Um,
walk properly.
I'm wondering if you attribute or what you attribute to your speedy recovery. I mean, you're not completely recovered, but your speedy recovery.
Without any mysticism at all, because I'm not a mystic person anymore. I'm not scientist, but I believe in science big time. But also I believe in the power of the mind. And I think that the fact that my outlook on life is very, very optimistic. I'm optimist by pessimism, and
Oh gosh. Can you guys still hear me? Hang on 1 second, guys. Let's try to get him back. Hang on 1 sec. Okay. All right. Well, there's not much I can do until Salem gets reset up. So, in the meantime, I can tell you guys that next Friday's dialogue. Um, Let me pull it up here. Next Friday's dialogue, we should be on with Cliff Lenderman, who's another guy that I know from way back in the '80s, like from my very first week with Sifu Dan. Cliff dates back to that era. He um, he works with Ron Balicki and those guys. Okay, here we go. Salem's back.
I should put it.
Okay, wait, you need to rotate 45, 90, yeah, okay.
You want me to keep it this way? You prefer like this?
Yeah, that's fine. No, the other way.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well,
This was really I use Zoom. I have no problem with Zoom.
right. See, but here's the thing. See, this is what I was telling you earlier with Zoom. I can't do this. Watch this. Can you see that?
I don't know. I see a list. It's frozen again, right?
No. But do you see the picture?
No, I don't see the picture. It says waiting.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So your connection might be a little bit slow. But before, when you were talking, I had put up this picture of you in the wheelchair, looking quite dapper, I must say, even though you're in a wheelchair.
Because I was so happy to be outside. You know, I was inside of a room with people. Some people are really sick, and I mean,
Yeah.
compared to some people, my problem is nothing. Even though it's
Right.
bad, but it's nothing. Everything is relative. But
But you were talking about that before we got cut off. You were talking about power of the mind and stuff like that. And you got pretty interested in, let's call it, the internal aspects. You got pretty interested in the internal aspects of life pretty young in life, right?
yeah, I always been interested and fascinated by this. And again, it's without mysticism, you know, because I didn't grow up religious, because my father was a Muslim, my mother was Christian, not practicing, but she was Christian. So I was in between two religions.
Right.
I may choose my own, neither one of them. I choose my own philosophy, I research and everything. And I always thought outside of the box. That's why I came to, maybe that's why I came to JKD. You know, I discovered JKD, and it fits also not only the physical aspect, but the mental aspect of it always attracted me a lot, you know.
Right.
I was more or less like Bruce, you know, that advanced technology and everything, for me, it wasn't important. The power of the mind was important, you know, telepathy, all these type of things I was very interested about. And I know that for healing, if you want to be healing, number one, above everything else, you have to be happy for no reason. You don't need anything to be happy. This is the first thing. A lot of people want to be happy when they're going to have things. I'm going to be happy if I get this girl. I'm going to be happy if I get this house or this car or this or that.
Right.
You won't. You will have it. You will be happy for a moment, but you will lose this happiness after a while, because happiness is not to have, it's to be. So if you are not, you cannot be happy. So you have to be, and you have to be happy with nothing. And when you have nothing, you can have, because you are happy with nothing. You can have, because you know that your happiness doesn't depend on what you accumulated.
Yeah.
So once you already have this, it's the most important. Once you have that, your outlook on life will change. So you have a good outlook on life. You marvel at everything. You keep this. You have to keep this this feeling that you had when you were a kid, that you marvel at things. You know, when you were a kid, I'm sure everybody did this. You look at ants, you know, and you see them carrying big things, and you say, "Wow,
Yeah.
this is amazing!" And you stay like this for hours. You looking at the ants or insects or animals or whatever behaviors, everything. You marvel at everything like that, you know.
Yeah.
And suddenly we kind of lose that. For what? For material things. I'm not saying that it's no good to have material things. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
But that should not be the human's priority. Their priority, that's why they exist, is to be happy. Happy for no reason. Marvel at everything. And then they can have. But here we are living in a society that is more important, it's to have instead of to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's really true, really. And when you understand that happiness is not to have but to be, then your life change. You have your outlook on life become completely different.
Yeah.
And you can be happy with very little and be very happy. And you have people who have everything and still not happy. They're still not happy.
Yeah.
Because they understand.
Yeah.
You know?
So that inquisitiveness about life, is that what led you to martial art? How did your interest in martial art, what did that grow out of?
This is a little bit different. I mean, it's another path. You know, I had
Mhm.
a few paths I followed. You know, and
Mhm.
martial arts. When it
That's
comes
true,
to
because you started in football,
yes,
right? And then gymnastics and then martial art. Do I get that? Did I get that right?
mm, yes,
Okay.
soccer is the first sport you do because you don't need much. You need a ball or anything that like a ball. You know, like kids play with a can or a tennis ball, and you know,
Yeah.
in school, you
Yeah.
know, and then we play soccer, football, of course, we need soccer, and uh, and then I went to gymnastic, you know, and I enrolled in gymnastic because one of my childhood friends went to gymnastic, and his parents wanted asked my mom to send me too, so he was not alone. So I went with him. He quit as soon as he get there, but I stick around and I stayed there for 10 years. I was practicing from I think 8 to 18,
Mm-hmm.
and when I think I was not quite 13. I saw the kung fu movie coming and Bruce Lee especially, and when I saw that, I said, "This is what I want to do." Because when I was a little boy, not in my teenage year, but as a very little boy, like 7, 8, 9, I was bullied, you know, sometimes by a very aggressive kid.
Mm-hmm.
Which later on, when I saw them again later on, I look at them and I laugh, you know, because they did. But when you're a kid, you know, you're impressionable, especially when you don't live in this surrounding, you know. I was brought up by my parents to be good kids, you know, to try to be good in school, you know,
Right.
as good as you could be, very polite. That's very important. My father didn't even us to speak the slang language. He wanted of my region. They wanted us to speak French properly, you know. So every time we say a slang word, he was like not happy about it. So we were raised very well. So suddenly, when you go to school and you have a kid that bully you, didn't hit me or anything, but bully you, scared you, and stuff like that, you're starting to have a notion of injustice. You start to understand the injustice. And quickly, it grew in me that I hated injustice. I mean, deeply hated it. So all form of injustice that I could see, I despised it to the max.
Right.
And so when I discovered martial arts and I saw Bruce, I said, oh, I could deal with this that way, but I can learn from it, the philosophy and everything behind it,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you change completely when you start to do the martial arts and you know that you can punch, you can kick, you can defend yourself and everything. It changes you too, So you just have to canalize this energy and these things that you have so you don't go to the dark side. So, but naturally I was not inclined not the kind of person to be inclined to go on the dark side anyway. So I was always practicing martial arts for the love of it, learning and realize
Right.
can I do, how far can I go? I was like this, and I love the philosophy. So more I discover Bruce Lee and the way he thoughts and everything, that match a lot of the way I think. Because I don't relate it to him just as a martial artist, as a martial artist. I related his JKD with everything. For me, it's the same with the religion. I was telling this to Guru today. We talked about it. We talked about this a lot, But the religion is like martial arts. You have a lot of religion, and you have a lot of martial arts. And everybody claims that his religion is the best,
Right.
But they all have a little bit of part of truth.
Yeah.
But they lost the true meaning of it with time. Because humans, they change things for their political games and their personal benefits, So just the King James, he wrote the Bible. Do you think he did a lot of things he didn't like? Of course, he took out a lot of things he didn't like, and he put a lot of things also that he liked. He wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw people telling me, "Oh yeah, they're in the right religion and everything," kind of make me laugh. And also, I always had. I may go from one thing to another, but everything is so late, and there are so many things we could talk about. But I always had more admiration, personally, to a guy who come and see me and said, I used to be Jewish and I became Catholic, or I used to be Catholic, I became Jewish, or I'm Catholic, I became a Muslim, whatever. But they were grown into this religion, but their consciousness make them want to go to a different one. They want to choose a different path, or want to study the other ones, with a very open mind. I have more admiration for that for those kind of people than somebody who is born into a specific religion and became that religion because his parents were this.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I was in a train once in France, and the guy next to me was obviously North African. So he started engaging a conversation with me. I'm talking to him. He said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is Salem." He said, "Oh, you're a Muslim?" I said, "No." He said, your father is Muslim?" "Yeah." He said, "Why aren't you a Muslim?" I said, "Because it doesn't fit me. I didn't tell him that, but I like to eat pork sometimes." Whatever,
Yeah.
But I like the guy. I can tell he was a good person, I could tell he was genuinely nice. But I told him, I said, I choose my own philosophy, and I said, "I suppose you're a Muslim because your parents were Muslim, and their parents were Muslim, and their parents was Muslim," and he went on from generation to generation. And he goes, "Oh no." He said, No, I choose my." And inside of myself, I was laughing because I know he's wrong. Because I went to Algeria before, and they're so nice over there. I mean, a lot of people are so nice, but they are Muslim because they grew up in Muslim family, not because they choose, not
Right.
because they choose it. It's because they're grown up. If somebody tell me the opposite, he's lying or he's not honest to himself. I will give you a very interesting story to think about, talking about that. A long time ago, maybe, I think it was about before I came to the United States. I was watching a program on television, and it was about two twin brothers who have been separated at birth. It's a true story. So they get separated, and 30 years later, a journalist somehow find them, both of them. I thought, this is interesting. I mean, these two kids were separated and they find each other 30 years later. I've got to interview those people. So he brought them to television. Those two guys were dressing up exactly the same way, same style, exact same style, extremely similar, shockingly similar. Their wives look very similar too. Amazing, very similar looking type of wives that they had.
Yeah.
But there were one difference. One was a Muslim and the other guy was Jewish. Because they were raised in Jewish family and one was raised in Muslim family. That tells you everything right there. You are the product of your environment,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And this is important that people take conscience of it, because sadly, the 99.99% of people become the product of their environment. It's not really something they choose, but it's because they were born within this. There's nothing really wrong with that, but it's interesting when someone comes out of this and decide to be different, you know?
Yeah.
In the martial art, Bruce Lee is one of them.
Right.
He grew up among Chinese people, learning Wing Chun and everything, but he think different. I'm going to teach white people. I'm going to teach black people. I'm going to teach all kinds of people. I'm going to teach whoever I wish to teach. Women. I'm going to teach women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his first students were women. So he came out of the lot, you know, and everybody is looking at him like it's sacrilegious, you know, because every time you do something that is out of the norm, you will be criticized. It doesn't matter who you are, you will be criticized. It's like it's a norm. People will make fun of you at first. It is like everybody knows that story, you know. It's like Oppenheimer. He said one day, he said, every truth goes through 3 stages. You know that, you know. At first, everybody laughed at it,
Right.
then they become violently against it,
Right.
until finally it's accepted as the truth and everybody follow.
Yeah.
So, but why not everybody understand it right away? Because people do not like when you follow another path, not their own path.
Mm-hmm.
Once you, it's like you follow a row of duck and you decide to get out of there and, okay, I'm going to be different because I want to be me. I don't want to be a clone or a copy of whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Be, you know,
that is an aspect of your biography that I find fascinating, because I imagine that kids like you who were interested in martial arts.
Thank you. I'm still a kid. Thank you.
Right. They probably joined the school, the martial arts school that was closest to their house.
Correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't do that.
Nope. For the simple reason that my parents didn't have enough money at that time to take me to the nearest martial arts school. Which martial art, it was actually judo.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit further down may have been karate, but it was more expensive than gymnastic.
Okay.
And at that time, my parents didn't make so much money yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that they made a lot of money, but they were blue collars, you know.
Right.
But I was also the eldest one, so it was harder for them at the beginning. Okay. My brother, which is the youngest one, it was easier. My parents were more at ease and everything, so he's the one who were more spoiled and everything. I don't know if it's a good thing though, you know. I love my brother, but me personally, they couldn't afford to take me to judo at that time yet. So I went to gymnastic, and honestly, it's a strike of luck, because nothing beats gymnastic when you begin anything. And I think that every child, when they begin, should do gymnastic first, because after that they can switch to anything. And
can you see this picture, or does it say waiting again?
It says waiting.
Oh man, this is the one of you on the handstand on the
parallel bars.
Parallel bars, yeah.
This picture was shot in Germany. When I was, at that time, all the French people had to go to the army for 1 year. It was mandatory.
Okay.
So I was stationed in Germany, in Speyer. Later on, there would be a JKD instructor in Speyer. I forget his name, but there is a JKD instructor under Grodan who lives in Speyer, the city. I forget his name. It skipped my mind. But anyway, So I was stationed there for like 1 year. I hated it. I was not fond of military stuff, you know. Uh, I'm, anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but I had to do 1 year. So, but I was in the office because I had some skills, and the head of the garrison, the colonel stuff. I was his secretary, so I ended up being a secretary for like the time I was there. So I did 2 months of classes. You know, when you learn how to shoot machine gun, throw a grenade, and these kind of things for a couple of months. And after the last 10 months, I was a secretary. So in between, I was doing sports. So I had access to the gym. So I was doing sports with my friend. I remember there was a guy who was a karate champion, French karate champion. I was impressed by the fact that he was a French champion. I never seen any champion in my life of karate martial arts, you know.
Right.
And we got to spar and stuff, and it was good at what he does. But I remember I managed to scoop one of his kick and throw him down, take him down like this. Stuff I saw in a movie, but I practiced with my friend. I was pretty good at it, and I did it to him. That's a pretty good move, you know. And I was like, okay, well, thank you, you know. I was 18 years old, you know. I was 18.
I'm showing now the picture of you with the 2-finger push-ups. I had never seen this picture before.
Oh yeah. I used to do this kind of thing. I was a Bruce Lee fanatic, you know. So like every teenager, I mean every young kid that love martial arts, I was a Bruce Lee fanatic. So I wanted to be like, try to do whatever Bruce Lee was doing, you know. So I could do like 20 push-ups on 2 fingers, you know.
Oh, man.
I was doing stuff like that, but
Right.
nothing impressive. You know, it's like everything else. If you do it repeatedly, you're bound to be good at it. You know. So
Yeah, but the drive to do it on your own. I'm interested in finding out where that came from, because let me see if I have this other picture here that I can show. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to show everybody. So this is one. This is one of you doing the fouette, the high fouette, in the parking garage.
yes,
Yeah.
but I know which one you're talking about.
Okay.
That was with my friend Martial in the basement. They have a newly built apartment, big apartment, 10 floor high, and they had the garage underneath. They have a full garage underneath, and nobody was there, you know. So my friends and I, we used to go there, and that was our dojo. We used to train there. We had a kicking shield, focus mitts, and boxing gloves, and we didn't know what we were doing, you know, because
Right.
we had no teacher, no coaches, nothing. Take no class, but we saw the movies and we practice, you know. So we used to go there like 2-3 times a week, just playing around like this. So we started to developing certain skill. That's why when I came to the States, Guru liked my kicking techniques.
I was going to get to that later, but this picture, it hasn't come up on your screen yet. It still says.
No.
Oh, man.
I was able to have my screen horizontal, and I don't understand why I cannot have it now. But maybe that's what it was eventually. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So in this one, because you said you guys had kicking shields and focus mitts and what have you, but he's wearing headgear and body armor.
Yeah, we could buy, you know, that could help, you know. We thought that could help. We bought it, you know.
Mhm.
And what's his name? Chuck Norris opened a store. I mean, out of all France, he opened a store, not in Paris, but in my hometown. This is very interesting because you don't know that. It's not in my bio, actually. I should have. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't remember. But
No, it is.
he opened his store in my hometown in Lille. So of course, right away I went, you know.
Yeah.
And we bought a few things, you know. We bought focus mitts. That's why we had the old focus mitts of old, you know, the original one that Rodan and Bruce were using.
Yep.
So we had this. We had the kicking shield, and also this call that a plastron, a body protector, so you can give some kick. Today will be very good to practice your fouettes and stuff like that. So, and it's similar to the one they use, I guess, in Long Beach tournament. So we're having this, and we just practice, with spar and okay, defend yourself. I'm going to try to touch you, and you try to defend yourself. So we're having a blast. We never hurt ourselves, maybe sometimes get kicked in the face a little bit, but I had a good control, and so we had a lot of fun, So the thing is, something that you don't know is that the reason I was able to come to the States is because I know I may have come eventually, but I don't know how. But the reason why I was able to contact Guru Dan is because Chuck Norris brought a bunch of, him or whoever worked with him. Mm-hmm. He was there at the opening of the store, but I wasn't there. I missed the opening. But when I went there, he had a big boxes full of magazines from the States, which we don't have in France. They are not distributed there. And those magazines were in English. I didn't speak a word of English. I mean, whatever I learned in school. Number 1 is a duck. Number 2 is a shoe. Number 3 is a bee. But you cannot go in there with that, So, but I saw the magazine, and I said, oh, wow, this is cool. And I saw Guru Dan on the cover with Richard Bustillo, the creases, and the swords.
I know the one, yeah.
So I bought this one, and I saw another one. I find few magazines, everything that has JKD in it, I buy.
Right.
So I buy those magazines, and I go home, and I'm trying to read, I know a few words, but don't understand a lot of things. But I was smart enough to realize that at the end, they have a directory, and one of the articles, they talk about, Dan said they call it the Kali Academy in Torrance. So, oh, yes, it's a school in California. And then, but I didn't know where it was, it doesn't say. But at the end of one of the magazines, they have a directories of the schools in California. Yeah. And actually in the States, and California at the Kali Academy Torrance. That's it. And I wrote him a letter after I finished the army. Right after I finished the army, I sent him a letter. And he replied to me exactly 1 year later. So I kind of despair to receive an answer. But one day I go to my parents' home, come back from work, and say, oh, you have a letter from America. I see, and it's written on the left side, it's written Kali Academy. Oh my gosh. I jump in here, I throw a kick. And my father, my mother, no idea at all. I didn't even tell them I did that, They have no idea why I was like jumping like this in here, So I told them, I said, I received a letter, I'm going to go to America. They thought I was crazy, So I told my friends I was going to do that, That was my goal, I already planned it as my objective. And a lot of my friends, they thought, he's going to go. He's going to come back in 2 weeks. He's going to come back. Or he's not going to go at all, He's talking, he's not going to do it, And many French people, they say, oh, I'm going to do it. But nobody did it. No, nobody. One guy did it before me, a French guy. He didn't stay. He stayed like 3 months. That was before I came. But I did. So we came, We wanted to make it a serious things, I wanted to seriously learn with Guru Dan, I didn't come here just for goofing around. I wanted to learn martial arts. I wanted to learn Kali. I saw, of course, I saw a Chinese Kung Fu movie and Chinese sword play movie, I forget the name of it. Skip my mind. But anyway, when they use swords, and I really loved that sword play. And I thought, I can do that too, because I was very acrobatic.
Right.
So that's why I love the French game fighting, because you can express yourself and you can use a lot of moves like...
wait. Can I interrupt you on that?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference between baton, lacan, and panache? Or are those just different names for the same thing?
No, it's 3 different things.
Really?
Like cane is a cane, the cane, the size of the cane you walk with.
Yeah.
Le bâton is a staff. And you have 2 types for bâton. You have le bâton and le grand bâton. Le bâton is about, 5'5", but roughly. And the other one could be 5 510, 511, 512. It's
Okay.
much longer.
Okay.
I like the 555 because it's more malleable. You can manipulate it much more easily than the very, very long one. I can use a long one as well, of course, but I will use it more like Filipino style, Chinese style. The French kind, the 5.5, it's a very, very French classic, and the moves are very similar to the cane, but manipulated with both hands and so on. I mean, we can talk about it also. And the panache is a combination. Panache has it's a kind of double meaning. Panache means class. You heard that, right?
Yeah.
Means class.
Yes.
Also, panache also means mixed. Like if you ask a panache in France in a bar, they will give you half 7-Up, like lemonade, and half beer. That's called a panache. You mix these two together. So it's a light beer with half 7-Eleven. It tastes a little bit of beer, but you cannot really get drunk with that. It's the taste, right? And then you have also a so-called panache because you mixed the cane with the kicks, which I really, really love.
Right.
You mix Savat with the cane. So, and because you can express yourself, of course you have rules. Okay, the canes, you have strict rules, like every sport, strict rules that you have to respect. But when you manipulate the cane and everything, it's pretty much free, and you can be very acrobatic. And of course, when you become like a panache for street fight, then there is no rules. You can do the savat plus the cane, so it could be really enjoyable, And plus, the advantage of the cane over a Kali stick is that the cane is legal. The Kali stick is illegal. In California, you walk on the streets with a stick, it's a felony. But you walk with a cane, so right now, especially right now, if I probably will, with the cane, it's legal. But like, I can do a lot of damage with the cane too, So it presents a lot of great aspects. And of course, if you know Kali, then you can use some technique of Kali. You can put it you can mix it up with cane, and vice versa. So you can be quite creative, and that's what I liked. I like that aspect.
Okay, all right. So let's go back to you get the letter from Sifudan, right? Okay, which I
on my website, people can see it.
I put it up, but you can't see it, but everybody else can see it. I put it up.
One day Gordon was looking through his mail, and I remember that when I first arrived here, I saw he had a big pile of mail like this, and another pile was very small, and the small part is the one that he answered because he was very busy, and people from all over the world were writing to him. Sometimes people write to they sometimes they ask it's interesting, but sometimes it's not so interesting, but they just want to communicate with you, and it's legitimate,
right.
But my letter was among the people. In fact it's written, I think, on the letter, I think it's written answered, if I'm not mistaken. And after he answered, he wrote answered. And because my original letter, the one I wrote to him, he was very impressed. It was a 3-page letter. I didn't know if he was going to read the whole thing, but he told me later on, he said, I was impressed by what he liked what I said, and also I was very impressed by the way you wrote. So, because we were, when we were kids, we had to learn with ink how to write. So the calligraphy style of
yes,
so thin line, thin line, and thick, and thin and thick. Maybe in Barbados you're from Barbados, right? Barbados, yeah. And maybe in Barbados, maybe as a kid you did that too.
Yes.
And today everybody, so they were tough with us, they make us doing like this, and you have to give it back, and they have to give you a note, from 1 to 10. It's not from A to E, but it's 1 to 10. They give you a note, and I was pretty good in drawing and writings. I had a very good stuff. In fact, I wanted to be a cartoonist at some point because I was okay. And
Right.
but that was such a waste of time because nobody do that today. Today, everybody use a pen, no bother.
Yeah.
And the
No.
end was sometimes terrible.
Yeah.
But it helps for. I think it helps. And when I wrote to Guru, to Sifudan, I said to myself, I'm going to write very nice. I want him to understand, So of course, I wrote my letter in French. Very quickly, I wrote it in French, and I gave it to a guy who was in the army with me that spoke English. When I heard he spoke English, I went to see him. I said, "Could you please give me a favor? I'm going to write somebody very important, but I don't speak English. Would you mind to translate my letter?" And he did a good job. This guy, you don't have to do it, but he said, "Sure, I will do it for you." And he did it, and he did a very good translation. So I recopied the whole thing with a nice handwriting, and I sent it to. And he was very impressed. He said, "I was very impressed by your handwriting." So, a year later, he answered, and I was so excited. But the problem is that, and this is in my book, but it's in French. But hopefully, I will translate that book into English in my GKD book. And I explained that I was just came out of the army, and I was just about my early 20s. Just not my early 20s. I was 20 and 3 months.
Mhm.
And I present myself to the immigration in Paris to ask for a visa, because at that time the French people needed a visa to go to the United States. And the guy looked at me, and I had nothing. I don't have a house. I don't have a steady job. I don't have any attached.
Right.
So they didn't want to give this young kid a visa to go to States, and he's not going to come back. So you look at me, and their desk is very, very high, and my nose is right here, And the guy looked at me from the top like that, and he goes, "Okay, sir, it's refused. Give it back to me. Cancel. Refused." Wow! I took a cold shower, man, that day. Cold shower. I traveled from the north to the Paris just with a brand new passport and just to get refused the visa,
Right.
But I tell to the guy, I said, "But I just want to study." He said, "Nope." I went back a second time later on, maybe 6 months later. He said no again. So I wrote back to Guru and I said, it seems like it's going to take a while before I'm going to be able to actually come. And but later on, 3 years later, and things had changed. The water went through the bridges, under the bridges, and I had my own business. I created my own business, so I was registered by the government as a official business.
Mhm.
I had an apartment in Paris, which at that time was very difficult to get. Still extremely difficult to get apartment in Paris, even now. But at that time, you had a line of 100 yards of people waiting to try to get this apartment. But because I have this job, I was making that much money at that time. So I present myself. I throw away my passport. I get a brand new one with nothing on it. And that time they gave me a permanent visa. So I was able to come back and forth, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's it. And then I came the first time with a one-way ticket.
Really?
United States.
They-
Oh yeah. And the guy said, "Where is your return ticket?" I said, "I have no idea because I intended," and this was true. I intended eventually to go to Quebec before I come to France, but I had no idea how long I was going to stay in LA. But I wanted to stay as much as I could because I know that there's no way I'm going to learn JKD in 6 months because they give you a 6 months visa every time.
Right.
So I said, there's no way. And the first time they didn't want to give me a visa to study. So of course I passed my 6 months, and I stayed for 2.5 years. But anyway, everything ended well.
Well, this is fascinating. But you know the thing that's still driving me crazy that Chuck Norris opened up a store in Lille. I mean, does
Between street, the it's a walking street. There's no car passing there. It's all the movie theater,
right?
all the clothing shops and everything. And right on the corner of that, on one of the corner, there was all those streets on the side. He had this store right there. It was beautiful. He didn't keep it for long though. He keep it. I think he stayed there for less than a year. Less than a
But
year.
did you ever find out why? How
No,
come?
no. And the funny thing is, one time I did a photo session at inside Kung Fu. I was at the studio there to take pictures, and I remember that I was with my brother. My brother visited me at that time, and I was with my brother and one students, and we went for a photo shoot. And on the way there, my brother was joking. He said to me, he said, "Hey," he said, "do you think we could see maybe a Christina Applegate?" My brother always had a weakness for Christina Applegate at that time. He was joking. My brother is. I'm funny, but I think my brother is more funny than me. He said, "Do you think we're going to see Christina Applegate?" And I replied, I said, "No, there, I don't think so. Chuck Norris, maybe. Christina Applegate." So here we are. We're in the studio, ready to shoot the pictures. So I changed my clothes, and my brother and my students, they started to put the clothes for the shooting. And the lady, I forget her name, it's going to come back to me. She said, "Oh, I need to get something for my camera. I'm going to have to go in there to go and get it." So she goes inside of the studios and the
Oh,
office.
was it Jane Hallander?
No. No. She took many pictures. Many pictures. She took a lot of my matter of fact.
Okay.
And I need to contact her. Anyway, and my friend and my brother, they followed her, to see the studio. They both followed her. They looked around, and I'm like, it was freezing. It was in January. I remember because my brother always came in winter time, and I was freezing. I was like this. I was waiting for them. I was freezing. The garage door was open, so, and I was waiting for 15 minutes. I'm waiting. I said, "What the heck are they doing?" And here she comes, and she said, "Oh, your brother and your students, they are so happy to have followed me, because they got to meet Chuck Norris and Bobo." I said, "Are you serious?" And then they kept smile all the way there to their ears. They say, "Wow, we get good shot with Chuck Norris and Bobo and everything." My brother was so happy, and he said, "I can't believe it. You told me I might see Chuck Norris, and I actually did." Looking at him, I goes, "I was joking, I have no idea." And so my brother got nice pictures with Chuck Norris, great pictures with Bob War. So is my training my training partner, and I said, "Oh, great guys, you could have called me. I could have at least be there and introduce myself to him,
Right.
And I could have tell him, I would have told him. I said,
Exactly.
one of the reason I'm here today is because you opened a store in my hometown, and I find the address of Innocento, and that's why I was able to come here. That would have been an interesting subject of conversation."
Right.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
that was really cool.
That's hilarious. So when you came here, you didn't have a return ticket.
Nope.
But did you have the intention to stay here for the rest of your life, or no? Okay.
No, because I didn't think of the future. I was thinking about the present time. Really, I was really living the moment. So
Right.
I had no plans. My goal originally was trying to stay at least a year, trying to survive for 1 year and maybe 2, so to have enough knowledge to come back to France,
Right.
open school, and teach the real thing. Come back and get more and come back, to elevate my level and my knowledge. But an unfortunate incident occurred, which make myself without money. Basically, all my money got stolen by someone. I'm not going to say the names. Some people know, but there's no need to put more dirt on him that necessary. But it's his problem. But he took my money, and I signed him a procuration for him to bring my money from France that I had in these bank accounts, so I could stay longer and get a return tickets and everything. And he left, but didn't come back. So I was literally stranded there with nothing. So, of course, Grodin was very generous because he let me stay at the place I was staying with Cas Magda, with Del Polar, Tim Cordoza. So I was staying with them.
You slept on in a sleeping bag on that floor too?
I did. And I was like Cinderella, for them, because they were not the best of organizing and cleaning the place and stuff. I like things to be neat.
Yeah.
So clean and neat, I don't like roaches. So I was cleaning up all the time. So I couldn't pay the rent, but I was the guy who cleaned the place, as I was helping as much as I can. I didn't clean their bed and stuff, but the rest of the apartment and stuff, I was trying to do the best I could. So I stayed there for about a year. And meanwhile, I met Francis, who was my training partner for quite some time in Savat, Francis Echinard.
Yeah.
Francis was French, so we have a common point. We spoke French. We get along right away very well, and he really helped me. He fed me basically every weekend or the week or weekends. He was helping me, and I was helping him by training him also, to be his partner. So, so we both evolved. We both help each other. That's the only way I could help him, because I could not walk. My problem was I don't have a green card, so I couldn't. I didn't have a green card, therefore I couldn't walk. I tried to get something, but it's not possible. So it was like this for a while, for 2.5 years, and then of course I had a girlfriend. I met a girl, and I needed to go to France because Grodin wanted me to teach Savat, and officially, and I told him, I said, I want to pass my exams in France. I was already teaching classes of Savat.
Okay, wait, don't gloss over that. You got to give us the story behind that, because Sifu Dan is the one who suggested to you to learn French martial art, right?
Yeah, because the guy who was there before me teaching Savat left, and when I arrived, the students find themselves after that without a teacher. The Savat guys who trained with him, with the previous guy, find themselves without their somebody to teach them, and they loved it. They really loved training Savat, and Guru knew my situation, and passing some details, basically, he said, Salem, he said, you have beautiful kicks. And he said, why don't you teach Savat? He said, I'm going to give you a book. You might want to learn, a few things from this book. So he lent me that book, and by Bernard Plazet. So this book was published in 1970. And Bernard Plazet is actually featured. His pictures is in a first article Black Belt published in 1967. They published an article on Savat, and Bernard Plazet is featured. You can see him, and Bruce drew around and put it in the KD.
Yeah.
So Bernard Plazet was twice French champion, and he wrote this book on boxe française Savat. At that time, they called it boxe française Savat. So we'll go in details later, but he learned the boxe française with the Count Baruzzi and also from his dad. And his book, which I have my own copy now, is as a historical part and a technical part. And the technical part, you can see the form, very classical at the time. So with the hands like this, right? You know what I mean by the hands? Charlemagne school, academic school. So I learned from the book, and I go like this, right? I learn like this. But what I was very interested about is not, I mean, as much as I love the techniques, but the history. When I read the history, I was totally fascinated by it. And I was like in awe because I thought to myself, wow, I have no idea of the history of French martial arts at all. Nothing. I didn't know nothing. But when I read it, I was stunned. I was like, so colorful, so incredible. How come French people don't know so much, but as much about it? And of course, I find out later on because the two world wars has practically annihilated everyone, and it almost disappeared completely.
Yeah.
That's why people didn't know about it. And when they see it today, they think about something very, I call that very old, old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
Yeah, that it's desueted, it's like it's past, it's they wear these stocking, kind of like a stocking things, and nobody care about these kind of things anymore. But this, when I was reading the character, it doesn't develop a lot, but he gives them some main things. So there is a little bit of a chronology with some mistakes. There are a lot of mistakes, which I didn't know when I first read it. For me, I took everything as granted. It's all true. Right. But something is slightly mistaken, because contrary to what he did on my book, the one I'm writing right now, it's been 30 years I'm on it. 30 years. Lots of research. In fact, Santo was with me this afternoon, and I told him, I said, before you go, I want to show you part of my book on the historical part. I just show him some of it. I scroll down and show him like this.
Right.
And you look at me, he goes, wow, you did a lot of research. I said, yes, go. And then I show him the documents that's going to be in the book. It's not, I didn't even place them yet. I show him like this. He was stunned. He said that, wow. I said, so far, I have 700 pages.
700 pages, right? Yeah.
So far, I'm not done.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 2-part book for sure. History and technique. So you may think, oh, the history, who cares? But truly, when you look at the history and you see the document and you read the history, like me, it will make you fall in love with the art. You look at it and you read the stuff, the things that people did, you will think, I want to be part of these things. I want to be the continuity of this lineage, I want to do that because otherwise it might disappear. So that was my mind, So I fell in love with the history more than the technique, even though I love the technique too, But history is what really clicked to me.
Yeah.
And I thank Plaze for that because he's the one who made me really be interested about the history. Plus, of course, Guru is always talking about the history of the martial arts, and I'm influenced by him.
Yeah.
By doing the research and the history, because it's interesting. There is two history. There is a real history, and the history is written by whoever wants to write it his own way.
Yeah.
It's like the war, It's written by
the history by the victor,
by the victors and those who were the losers. But do you know their side? And if you know their side, maybe you will learn something that you didn't know, or maybe change your mind on certain things. So I I was always influenced by by Guru. Influenced, always fascinated when he was talking about history, for
Yeah.
instance, martial arts.
Yeah.
The, so and then later on also I met Sylvain Salvini in Paris. Sylvain Salvini was the president of the Savat French Boxing Federation. He would have preferred to call it Savat today. Would be very happy because now the French have finally they call it Savat Boxe Française. When before it was Boxe Française
That's
Savat.
what says Savat. Yeah.
And some idiots said, "Oh, Salem Assli doesn't teach the real thing. He called it Boxe Française Savat." We don't call it that anymore.
Uh,
People are so stupid. But I've been calling it Savat for a long time. But sometimes I put Boxe Française so they know it's from France. But I've been using the word Savat from the very beginning. So if they do a little bit of research, they will know. Because I always thought that Savat is the original name. It's that's the real name. Boxe Française is a subdivision of, that's where Savat come from. There was Savat, and then we had the boxing, and it became French boxing. But Savat is the original system, and it was more sophisticated than one thing. But anyway, so I read this book by Bernard Plazet, and so my form was like this. So that's another thing that a lot of people, they said, where is he coming from? When I went back to France for the first time, I was kicking like this and everything. People look at it, where the heck does he come from? Nobody does that anymore. It's been at least 10 years, at least, if not even more. Everybody learned how to fight like this.
right. Yeah.
I know it. But I did this way for several reasons. First, because it worked for me. Number two, because I love aestheticism, graceful.
Mm-hmm.
If you can kick someone's ass and look good at it, that's even better, right? And if you look at Bruce, his kick is very aesthetic, and sometimes he has his hand like this. It's a counterbalance. It's not for nothing. It's a counterbalance. So, and even Guru, he told me, he said he always liked the old style. So the reason why I kept this one, and in a magazine I always been that way, often I was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially at the beginning, it's simply because in the 80s, American kickboxing was still very popular. The PKA and stuff like this.
Right.
Was still very popular. If I do the pictures like this, and I kick with my hands like that, it will look like a PKA, like American kickboxing. Of course,
exactly.
Kicks, they would say low kicks, which they didn't have, but nevertheless, that will look more like American kickboxing. And I wanted to quickly people see that, don't stop at this and turn the next page. I wanted to see this and say, oh, that looks different. They see, what is this? Oh, it's Savat. Oh, it's from France.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's 200 years old, maybe more. Oh, that's interesting. And they will keep reading, And I want them to stop themselves just being like this and say, oh, the French just copy the Americans and go like this, because it's the other way around, So that's why I always kept this. It's almost like a trademark, So I kept it this way. And when I went to France, I did my exam. I was like this because Bob Alix was the president, not the president, was the national technical director for French boxing, Savat, in France. The national technical director, meaning he's the one with a committee who decide if we're going to bring this kick in, or everything related to the style. He's the one in charge. So I sent him my first article I wrote, and I told him I was coming to France and I like to pass my exam, or whatever he will give me. I have no idea. I don't know what my level is, but whatever. So he looked at the pictures in the magazine, he sent me a letter, and he put the yellow patch, which is a last color glove before you become a silver glove, right away. And he wrote, it's too bad because I think I lost that later, but I believe that he said something like, pictures don't lie. I mean, we don't have didn't have Photoshop anyway in those days, but I was doing jumping, flying sidekick, perfect form, like Plaze,
Right.
And Plaze was a technician,
Yeah.
It was hard to imitate,
Mhm.
And my form were perfect. He said, we cannot take pictures like this and be a beginner. So I give you the yellow glove. I want you to come to France to pass your silver glove.
Right.
So I had to go back to France. So I went back that summer with my girlfriend, and we did the paper and stuff. I did the rest at the American embassy. At the same time, I went to the south of France, and I did the seminar over there. And there were almost like 50 practitioners, Savat practitioners. They all had teachers, of course. I was the only one who never had a teacher because I love watching a book
From the
and
book. Yeah.
learning by practicing. And of course, I had the JKD kickboxing. I was practicing with Grodin, of course. So my hands, I got it from him, and my kicking style was my own with the book from Plaze and stuff like that.
Right.
So I did the exam, and I finished first in the silver glove test. And at the end, and for the monitor certification, I didn't even do the assistant. I went straight I went straight to the monitor. He makes me do the monitorship. I was also one equal with the guy I was partner with. He was also equal in the monitorship. But as a silver glove, I finished first. And I was like this and everything. And I heard before I was doing all the stuff that was required. And I heard somebody said, "Oh yeah." In one afternoon after eating, or while we were eating, in lunchtime or something, one dude he said, yeah, Bob Alex loves the spinning fouetté to the face. Never heard of that, Spinning fouetté. So you spin, but instead of doing a reverse kick, you do actually throw a round kick to the head,
Right.
Yeah. And they said it's one of his favorite kicks. I said, oh, cool. So I practiced it, and next day it's the examination. So I do everything, different atelier. I go with different people. I remember it was Richard Silla, the world champion. I mean, the European champion. Few guys. I went with different guys, and then suddenly I'm doing one section, part of the things. It was almost like a freelance. You had to demonstrate a few things, and it happens to be Bob Alex was the judge with another guy.
Uh-huh.
I demonstrate like this, and suddenly I went, and I did a spinning to the face, perfect, boom, and back to my stand, everything. And Bob Ali goes, "Wow, spinning fouetté, my favorite kick." and I did it perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, I owe to gymnastics a lot of things. I had a tremendous balance.
Yeah. Actually,
helped me a lot.
When I saw your Panther videos, I said, "There's no way that he didn't do gymnastics," because I didn't know you as well back then, right? But when I saw it, I was like, "He has to have done gymnastics."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, my training partner, we unfortunately passed away, Tony Adams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tony Adams was my training partner. We have the same age. He committed suicide when he turned 50. Something happened, but anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. But he was my training partner, and one time we were talking, and I told him, I said, we talk, and I told him, I said, I used to be a gymnast. He looked at me, he goes, "Me too." I said, "You too?" I said, "No wonder why you're technical." We're a good match, we train perfect together, And he said, "Yeah, I used to be a gymnast, I always look at him before he became my student, before I gathered all the students together. I remember I just arrived, and do sparring and everything. And this time I'm sparring with people of a higher caliber, that I was used to, And I remember Tony Adams give me chasse bar, lead leg, I move, he give me, sit down. He said, "What is that?" He goes, "That's Savat." I said, "Oh, okay." And, and after that I learned, I practiced and everything, and he became my student, and my training partner, and I use him in pictures and everything.
Right. Yeah.
And he was always he liked me, and I liked him a lot. He liked me because he said he saw me coming, and I learned Savat by myself, and I achieved a good technical level,
Mhm.
and he followed me. He was always taking classes with me. If I needed him to shoot pictures, he was there. He was a great guy and good fighter too. He was a very good fighter. Um, yeah, at that time when he came to fighting, at the beginning, he was better than me because he had much more experience. You know, later on I catched up, but at the beginning, Tony Adams had a beautiful techniques, and he still had a good technique all the way to the end. But I mean, he was on the fighting ability. He had much more experience. I loved to see him fighting and moving around. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I finished the test in France, and they come to the result. And Bob Alix, he arrived. Bob Alix, a big guy, big guy, come and he said, "All right, all the result, everybody's there, table like this. It's like we're in school, literally, because we had writing exams,
Right.
a lot of things,
Yeah. Yeah.
Not they don't take it lightly. And he goes, okay, first one. He goes like this. He goes, Salem Assli. I didn't do a mistake when I give him the yellow glove without meeting him. It's number one silver glove and number one equal for the monitorship. Good job. He was very, very happy. He was very pleased.
Yeah.
And me too. I was shocked. I was like, wow, I was first. Because when you do the exam, you cannot see what the other guys are doing. So everybody is doing something, so you have no time to stop and watch everyone.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I saw some great. And as I get my first glove, my silver glove, first degree, I was lucky. At the end, the last day, came two guys. They arrived just for that day, from whatever region they came from. And I heard they said, "Oh, these two guys are going to do their third degree silver glove technical." There were only 3 or 4 of those in all France. I'm thinking, well, I got to watch that. I stayed, I watched. It was awesome.
Mm.
But I was thinking, I can do it.
Right.
Me and Tony come prepare. I got it. We say in France, les doigts dans le nez, means fingers in the nose, means piece of cake. We don't say piece of cake, we say fingers in the nose. I mean, les doigts dans le nez means for sure. I look at it, I go, this is awesome. You have to do 25 kicks. I forgot how many. Yeah, you have to make a choreography of your own, And
Right.
I did a little bit of it, on my Panther video.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is the thing. People do not know how many people all over the world, just the intro to your Panther videos
Yeah,
has affected hundreds of people around the world.
I think so. Because, at the beginning, I was upset that people put my video online like this, especially I didn't make anything,
Mm-hmm.
And I was upset. But after that, I said, well, if it helps people, And then suddenly, this past couple of years, I received letters and mail from people telling me, Professor, it's thanks to you. I'm learning Savat in my country.
Mm-hmm.
We are isolated, but we are watching your video. We are learning from them. We love what you did. We want you to come someday, blah, 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 blah. And I receive a lot of this. And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe it's meant to be this way, if some people can learn, I can help people, that's wonderful. This is what it's all about, basically. People will learn. I learn from a book. If I could learn from a book, they can surely learn from a video, and get good at it. So I was very happy. Recently, this is the creme of the creme, la creme de la creme. I saw totally by accident. François Penacchio, world champion, European champion, French champion, just name it. He's got the best, the guy who fought Raymond Dakers.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
he put my video, video clips in his in his Facebook page, and he said, talk about great technique. He said great Savat technique or great boxer. Forget what he wrote, but I was like, wow, if Penacchio recognized my work, I can die. I don't care now what other people say.
Right.
So I was very happy. I was very pleased. I think it's like full circle. I was very happy, and I'm not done. But I was very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. All right. So listen, we've been on now for almost hour and a half. Obviously,
Already?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Obviously, we are not done because there's more pictures that I want you to talk about. We still have to talk about that. We have to talk more about the impact of Bruce Lee. We have to talk about Jeet Kune Do, specifically what it means to you. We got to talk about Dan Inosanto and his the effect on you or what have you. But we would be here all night. So let's make a promise to come back as soon as possible.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
So, I wish, but I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Well,
if the people enjoyed it and they want to see my face again, I will surely be more than happy to.
Listen, I'm gonna leave you with this. You ask my students, right? You get a hold of any of my students, you go, what's the most important thing that he learned from Salem Assli? They'll tell you, he who can do more can do less.
That is actually a quote from Joseph Charlemont.
Yeah,
Joseph Charlemont.
I learned that from you.
Yeah, because I always believed that too, But
right.
The one we say it in this context is because there was different schools of French boxing, and some of them teach only the low kicks. Leclerc school was only low kicks. Some of the school they teach middle kick, low kicks. Some school teach everything. Some school teach only high kicks. Not really only high kicks, but there are different schools, different philosophy, and everything.
Right. Yeah.
So said, why limit ourselves to, because they were highly criticized, Charlemont, when they were doing the spinning reverse kick and stuff like this. They said, if you do this, somebody's going to take you down and stuff like that. Well, it's everything is timing, but you're not going to throw away techniques just because it doesn't work for you. But if you can do it, it's great. If you can do a high lateral reverse kick to the face, it should not be too difficult to do a lateral reverse kick to the body,
right,
or even to the leg,
right,
which, by the way, it's one of my favorite techniques. The low lateral reverse kick to the legs will knock you out. If you get it, your leg is out of commission, that's for sure, especially with the shoe. So one shot is enough. So people have to know that, and that's what Charlemont always said, who can do more can do less. And I said, of course, for me, it was a no-brainer,
Yeah. I use that to this day, man. In different contexts, right? Okay. So, all right, you're not going anywhere, so I'm going to take advantage of you. Okay. So yeah, so maybe in a few weeks or so, I'll get in touch with you, right? And we'll set up another time, because there's so much more. I have to talk to you about stuff like this, right? I got to talk to you about stuff like this.
Oh yeah,
right?
Those specific books, but I know what it's all about.
Oh yeah, I know you know what it's about, right? So we still have a lot more to talk about, but I don't want to take up any more of your time.
No, not a problem.
But today,
because I know on the East Coast it's already late.
Yeah.
But as I anytime. It will be my pleasure.
All right. Well,
You know,
it's
I really enjoy because as I told you, or maybe you read on one of the articles that was published recently in Germany. If I had died in this accident, and I was very close, you know, I was unconscious for quite some time. If I had died in the accident, my regret would have been that people think of me as just a martial artist.
right. Yeah.
And I love martial arts and everything, but there are many other things that
Right.
I love, and those who are interested, you know, can always.
Mhm. No, and that too. Well, see, so that too is one of the things that I do want to touch on next time. What effect this accident has had on your outlook? You know, I definitely want to go into that. But so I'll get in touch with you. We'll set up another time and we'll do this all again, my friend.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Okay. All right. Have a good night.